It all started at the beginning of 2024. That was where I got heavily introduced to these two apps, as at the time I was a social media addict, constantly on my phone, and adding two more apps to my phone definitely did not help what was going to happen further down the line. You may be wondering, what exactly are those apps? One of them is Snapchat and the other is Instagram. And one day I noticed on my friend's phone, I saw him taking pictures. I noticed a few of the people in my class were just casually angling their phone to their face or just to the underside of the desk, just taking a picture. I noticed. I was wondering, what exactly were they doing? And funnily enough, I got introduced to the app. They said, yeah, we got Snapchat, that's the app. And they also introduced me to Instagram too, so I installed both of those apps, assuming it was going to be fine, assuming nothing bad is going to happen down the line, like I said. Me at the time, I didn't know what was going to happen in the future. I added a bunch of my friends on Snapchat and Instagram. We casually just took pictures of each other, send them back, and that's where I got this thing called streaks. So I had to go on the app every day just to keep the streak alive. I mean, it felt like a job sometimes, but I was always on Snapchat. It wasn't really too much of a problem, as I'd snap my friends 5 to 10 times a day at worst. I usually use the app after I'm home from school, or maybe sometimes in school. I remember one time I tried using it at the cafeteria in lunch. I remember that we couldn't use phones in the cafeteria, so I checked my notifications on my phone and I saw that, a bunch of my friends snapped me, and the ironic thing was that we were all on the same table. It was a massive table. There was 10, 12 of us there. A bunch of my friends were on the same table. I see one of the snaps, and it may not sound like a big deal, but I send them a snap back when I was literally right there. So I was wondering, what exactly was the purpose of using this app when they're right there? I always see them every single day, So I didn't see it as too big of a deal. I was just snapping them back. It's just a picture. I mean, they don't really care. So I did that here and there every time at lunch. I didn't really take pictures during class because I knew the teacher would notice and point it out and maybe just take my phone away, which has happened in class sometimes. Rarely, but it happens a bit. I'm not afraid to admit. And that small habit that I made after getting those two apps, it was slowly going to become something that I was not going to expect. It became a normal routine, just waking up every day, sending them a picture on the bus, sending them a picture on the way home, send a picture before I go to bed, send a picture. It's just, what was I doing? I didn't really see a point in doing that, but I was just constantly doing it. Just the app was just all the notifications, all those unread snaps. It was just a small pinch of dopamine that you had to open those things. I had to open it. I had the urge to just open it. And what I also did before I go to bed is especially just scrolling Instagram reels when I was bored, when I had 30 minutes, 1 hour left before I go to bed. I'd scroll on that before I go to bed. And I'm not afraid to admit that I sometimes do that today, till this day. I sometimes get caught upon that habit, and I know it's not good because I struggle to fall asleep, and knowing that you got your phone on before you go to bed doesn't make it any better to do that. What I failed to notice as time went on was that I was getting more sucked into my phone, knowing that there was more notifications to respond to other than Discord. I had Snapchat and Instagram. It was a lot of apps to keep track of and keep your notifications up to date. It made me get on my phone more because there was a reason to. I had those apps. those apps that were very active, a lot of people were using them. And it got me to procrastinate on my work. At the time I was at school, so mainly procrastinate on my homework, the things I had to have gotten done. And then after I graduated, it definitely took a toll on me at work. Every time I had a free moment, I'd get my phone out, take a snap of myself at the job, respond to my friends, go on Instagram, get sucked into Instagram reels for like a good solid 5 to 10 minutes when I know that I'm supposed to be doing my work. And then eventually, as time passed on, I knew there had to have been a change. I couldn't just be drawn into these apps so easily. What really took away my potential was definitely those apps. I was easily getting distracted, easily had a reason to pull out my phone from my pocket and just go on it, mindlessly scrolling on Instagram and Snapchat. I didn't really gain anything at all, and I wondered, why do I have those apps if they don't benefit me at all? I wondered that in my head, and it soon slowly hit me. Over time, I definitely noticed that I had to distance myself away from my phone, but it wasn't the phone if it was those apps that were drawing me in even more to make me go on my phone. And so I did a big step, and that step was just deleting Snapchat and Discord. I kept Instagram because I'm using that to post on there, so keeping that, but I'm going to limit my usage on that app. So I deleted those 2 apps. I knew that had to have been done, but at first it was not easy to just delete the apps and be okay with your life as if nothing really happened. I got temptations to go on my phone even though I didn't have those apps. As I remember one day at work, I'd go on my phone. I'm so used to that app being at that page in the home screen. I'm so used to touching that page, that app. It was not there. So I was like, I was kind of tempted to install it again, but I know that I can't do it. And I can definitely say, ever since getting rid of those apps fully from my life, it's definitely increased my work productivity. I have less of an excuse to go on my phone. Knowing that those apps are not there, knowing that I've got no distractions, I feel more focused in my life, which genuinely is amazing. Knowing that I have to do what I have to do, and I know what I have to get done. There's no distractions in my way. That's genuinely been more satisfying to feel in my life. Knowing that there's no distractions, I don't have a reason to go on my phone as much anymore. If you're struggling with the same thing I did, I can definitely tell you it's not easy at first, but you've got to get rid of those apps if you're that sucked into your phone. And so I'd advise you to just check your screen time on your phone and see how many hours you rack up during the day. And if it really is a lot than you think, I'd say it's okay to cut some apps off and limit your apps on your phone. I hope this makes you realize that we really do spend a lot of times on our phone. We rack up hours a day on the phone. It turns into days, weeks, months, maybe even years that you've spent on your phone alone. But it's good to take the initiative to just cut back the hours, get rid of the apps that you don't really necessarily need. Hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.